welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from Washington, D.C. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then to the Socialists. So glad that you are with us tonight. Mary Blocker holding down the chat room. My girl, I love you dearly. This is Biggs watching via live stream and USTREAM. We are broadcasting around the world even as we speak. And I'm telling you right now, I am so excited about tonight. Tonight we have a champion of the gospel. You may have seen him on Facebook. You may have heard him on other Twitter and other aspects of it. But tonight, Pastor Greg Locke joins us, and of course, in the 10 o'clock hour. None other than Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. We're so glad to have you here with us tonight. You know what we do. You know how we rock. You know how we roll. There is much to talk about tonight. I am not going to delay a thing. Let's get busy, folks. We got a nation to save. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show. I'm your nearly qualified host. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that things rock and roll as I expect them to. And if they don't, God willing, that you get a great message out of this stuff anyway. Listen, last night was huge. And I don't care for those of you who think that polls really make a difference. And it's excitable sometimes when you hear good news in polling. But polling only gives you a sliver. There are almost 200 million Americans that can vote in America. If you ask 800 folk, okay, let me put it this way. On Friday, there was a report. Economists were looking at ADP's report and expecting there to be 176,000 jobs created in America. The truth came out where there was a downward adjustment for July, meaning that we didn't create as many jobs as the Obama administration said we did. And we only created 156,000 jobs in the month of September. So if you divide that 156,000 by 50 states, literally only 3,000 jobs were created in every state. So if you ask me if I believe that polls really make a difference, they don't. The only poll that will make a difference is what you do on November the 8th. What you do on November the 8th. So some of you all are early voting. I suggest that you make your decision based on Hillary Rodham Clinton's statement about the Constitution and Donald Trump's statement about the Constitution, because that's how you know that you will be getting a great Supreme Court. But we'll talk about that with Mark in the 10 o'clock hour. I'm excited about Greg Locke being with us. He is a powerful champion of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And actually, we'll be talking with him about whether the modern American church has chosen secularism or secular righteousness over gospel freedom. And you might be truly enlightened tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that this little thingy dingy here that we have is a Pledge of Allegiance, and you know that we do it every show. And one of the amazing things is I heard that one of the Supreme Court justices, the most liberal one, stated that Colin Kaepernick was dumb for doing what he was doing. So it pretty much sizes up for you. Let the kids take off your hats, find a flag, pledge allegiance to it. Let's rock and roll.
With your hearts, place your parents, ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
what better way to start off your night than that way? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, one of the finest orators of the gospel of Jesus Christ, live.
Hello, this is Pastor Greg Locke. I'm sorry I can't be around.
All right. Pastor Greg Locke cannot be with us on this particular evening. We tried. All righty. We will try him back a little bit later on. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on the air tonight, and I'll spend a little time talking about this. Pastor Greg Locke had been invited to a church to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Days before he was about to attend or travel to attend that church by invitation, they pulled the invitation away. Now, I know a lot of people would be thinking, well, hey, invitations, things happen. Maybe they canceled the event. But no, they didn't cancel the event. They just asked Pastor Greg Locke not to attend. Now, Pastor Locke has traveled around the world. He's preached the gospel of Jesus Christ. After 10 years of evangelism, he's traveled to 43 states, 15 foreign countries. He actually went to his hometown of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and he settled down, and he became the founding and lead pastor of Global Vision Bible Church. So he has an extensive career in terms of the gospel teachings, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is one of the most sought after speakers, conference speakers in the country. A very passionate preacher. And if anyone's ever heard Greg Locke speak, without a shadow of a doubt, he is a very passionate preacher. He's also a great leader. He coaches other ministers. And, of course, personal fitness is one of his huge hobbies. Married man, got 3 boys and a little girl. You would think with that type of all-around character, you don't see him at the bars. You know what I'm saying. Besides a couple of visitations, maybe to help a few people out. He's not, cheating. He's not. He's living a godly life. And in spite of living that type of life, the church that invited him to attend recanted. They pulled away the invitation. And their explanation for pulling the invitation away is very simple. Greg Locke, you are a great preacher. We can't take that from you. Great family man. You're the type of family man that we want in churches today. We want our kids to look up to somebody who's all athletically built and in shape and loves the Lord with all his heart and has traveled the world and not been impeached by it nor fashioned into it. We like that. We like that. But some of the stuff that you're talking about, and listen, we're not. Don't think it's me, the deliverer. No. Some people, Pastor Locke, think that maybe you're a little too radical with this gospel message. And listen. It's not us. It's other folk. And so when we do conference, and I love when people tell you that, when we do these conferences, we got to make certain that the audience will be fulfilled and enlightened and hear the word. And so if they come and you're there, then you're going to be causing harm and danger. Well, not necessarily danger, but people would be offended, and thus offense means that we can't have as many people at the conference as we need because we rented the room and we spent money on speakers and Pastor got to get his love offering, and we've done all this stuff, and we can't afford people to be upset by what you got to say, because sometimes you say stuff and it offends people. And so what they did was they removed the invitation. They told him a few days before the conference, listen, we can't have you here. You're too radical. So when we come back, I want to play for you some of the things that people think Greg Locke is too radical about. And in addition to that, I want to talk with you about how the modern American church has chosen secular righteousness over gospel freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a show that you want to truly listen to and share with others, especially for my down low listeners who are listening to liberation theology in the pulpits of America, where tenacious, ordained speakers are pontificating that there is some allure between Allah and God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Where feminism is being taught, not the gospel. Where homosexuality is not being exposed and prayed against, but actually endorsed. And so moved as to ordain same-sex marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, the gospel that is being preached in today's churches, I don't think Jesus would necessarily understand. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk, live from the nation's capital. Has the modern American church chosen secular righteousness over gospel freedom? We'll be right back right after these messages. And we want you to plan this year to make certain that you get to where you need to be. Go to our website and click on cheap air flights now. Get your tickets now for travel during Thanksgiving. There are discounts that are available to you that no one else has, just because you're a listener of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Go there, get your tickets now, because Lord have mercy, don't wait until 2 weeks before Thanksgiving and expect a discount. We'll be back with more of the best right after these messages.
Now, Parnell's, we only have only one shop to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. Given how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
What if you could empower your kids with the freedom they want and still have peace of mind that you and your child can stay connected from virtually anywhere? Amber Alert GPS is a new way to connect, protect, and live. The small, lightweight, smart locator device for kids gives children the freedom to call their parents through the touch of a button, and parents the peace of mind with features like two-way calling, customizable safety zones, GPS, and other location features that can all be monitored from the parent app on your smartphone. Amber Alert GPS is as easy to set up as it is to use. To get started, charge the device for a minimum of 4 hours near Windows. Go to amberalertgps.com/login to register and create your account, and download the Amber Alert GPS parent app on your smartphone and log in. Please set one primary number on the device that your child can call. The device will only accept a call from the primary number. And add up to 10 users who can locate the device and receive alerts. You determine their permissions. You can change settings on the Amber Alert GPS web portal, including features like School Ready Mode, which blocks incoming calls during school hours. When your child wants to call, they simply press and hold the SOS button on the device. This calls the primary contact and sends out an email alert to the authorized users listed on your account. You can monitor the location of your child on your smartphone app and set up to 20 safety zones, which create a virtual boundary around your designated location. You'll get a notification when your child enters and/or exits a zone. Want to monitor your child when traveling in a vehicle? You have the option to set a maximum speed for the device, so each time it goes over the designated speed, you will receive an alert. On the run and don't have time to log in and check out your kid's location? With breadcrumbing, your child's whereabouts can be sent to you at regular intervals. Amber Alert GPS also has a listening feature that lets kids have the freedom to be kids and gives parents the reassurance that everything is going okay. And with optional snap-on faceplates, kids can make their Amber Alert GPS truly their own. Faceplates come with a lanyard so it can be comfortably worn around their neck. You can easily secure the device using an arm or ankle band, or the protective pouch that can snap onto a backpack or belt. Amber Alert GPS Smart Locator is a new way to connect, protect, and live, enabling parents and caregivers to stay connected through GPS, location awareness, and two-way calling. While the Amber Alert GPS device requires AT&T service and monthly fee, the Amber Alert GPS parent app can be downloaded and used with any mobile carrier.
Ladies and gentlemen, love the music. Want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. Greg Locke was supposed to be here. I'll get back with his staff, see when he can come back, maybe a little bit later on in March. April, December, something like that. Because we're really going to be focused on the election period. There are a number of political candidates that are running for election that I encourage you all to support, and I will be bringing on in the next 3 to 4 weeks, over the next 3 to 4 weeks of our program. And I really want you to be attentive of that and pass this information along. But tonight I want to take a focus on, has the modern American church chosen secular righteousness over gospel freedom? And there's a major difference between the two. And the guest that we had scheduled for this evening was Pastor Greg Locke. And I want to first introduce to you why Greg Locke may not necessarily be the most, let's just say, most welcome preacher. Like it unto myself, not the most welcome preacher amongst those who have 4 walls and a door. This is Greg Locke, and he's talking about, if I wanted to destroy America, here's what I would do.
Hey guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. You know, I love America, and I am unashamed of the stars and stripes, and I thank God that we are one nation under God, and that we have great religious freedom and liberty. But you know, there's only a few things that someone would have to do in an undermining way to totally destroy the foundations of America and allow us to rotten from the inside out. So if I wanted to destroy America, I wouldn't do it quickly. I'd do it slowly and subtly over time. I'd begin by limiting all of our natural resources to make sure that we are totally dependent upon the Middle East and the resources that they have. I would allow the Supreme Court to start making decisions that they have absolutely no legal ability to make. I'd purposely take the Constitution out of context and make it seem like an old antique, a relic that needed to be updated for modern times. I I would make those who are true conservatives feel misplaced, ill-advised, and irresponsible with what they actually believe. I would redefine traditional marriage and undermine the family and make gay rights a civil rights movement so that if anyone speaks out against it, the law would strongly be against them. I'd make everyone feel better about themselves by saying that we all deserve free health care and everyone needs free education. But I wouldn't tell them that everyone's actually going to be paying for it in the long run in a very big way. I would paint organizations like Planned Parenthood as something that is truly in it for the ladies, and they offer such wonderful health care for women in this nation, and then I would demonize anyone that would speak out against them. I would put such a negative spin in the news media about guns and gun ownership that it would make those who own guns seem irresponsible to everyone else. I would recklessly use the word progressive and use it often. I would take a big stick of arrogance and I would poke the bear of racism so that our streets would not even be safe. I would create a false pretense that there is such hatred amongst blacks and whites and others in this nation that there can be no racial reconciliation. And then, if that didn't work, I'd poke the bear again. I would use the word Islamophobia often and loudly and shame anyone that would dare speak out against the Islamic religion. I would tell people that our greatest enemy is actually one of our greatest allies. I would continue to spin so wildly that the national debt would grow and grow in order that we may actually be owned by the nations to whom we owe money. Oh, and you mustn't forget, one of the biggest things I would do is scale down and defund much of our military intelligence. I would push the borders wide open and allow as many Syrian refugees that wanted to come to the United States for freedom and prosperity to be welcomed into the borders of this great nation. After all, isn't that what a free nation would do? I would use the news media to teach people that gang-banging thugs are the real heroes and police officers are the mean, deviant scoundrels of our cities and societies. And you see, my friend, that's just a small, non-exhaustive list of things that I could do to begin to undermine and destroy America. So in essence, if you want to destroy America, here's one simple thing you can do. Go to the polls this November and keep voting for the liberals.
Wow. There you go. That guarantees you. Guarantee you, I swear it does guarantee you that you will not be invited to your family's Christmas or Thanksgiving dinners. I guarantee you that you will not be welcomed in urban America's churches. You will be welcomed at the local conference where the theologians of this particular day who had studied at the Harvard theological, who understand and can pontificate on some of the exhumed and broken sacred interpretations of Scripture. We go back in time to when the Catholic Church established relationship in South America, and in terms of working with the despotic governance. Some would proclaim it dictatorial. I proclaim it merely an aspect of collective governance by the people for the good of those who rule over them. There was some agreement that you can have a Catholic Church here as long as it adorns itself with the majesty of the local dictator. Yeah, you're not going to be welcomed in too many places. And urban or suburban or even rural America today, because many people have attached themselves to something called secular righteousness. And I want to give this to you because while they assert that Bernie Sanders is the pontiff in chief, literally, and you're right, Dave, that's like Paul Harvey for Jesus. There you go. As except, and those of us who understand Paul Harvey in the 1960s explained exactly what would happen over the next 5 decades for us to get to where we are today, and proclaimed even then that the attrition of those who are in the way, which we, or in Jesus, would actually call his faith, his body of believers in the way, and we should all be in the way of each other sinning and falling short of the glory of God. And when we do, providing forgiveness and love and grace and mercy for those who redeem and repent and move forward. And this is where Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders work in terms of explaining to you secular righteousness. See, secular righteousness comes to us in the understanding that you and I are deplorables. You and I are ungodly. And I want you to understand, ungodly is not with the capital G, it's with the small g. You're ungodly because if we lie on the altar of our little g-o-d and we ordain people to marry same-sex couples, meaning man and man, woman and woman, or nowadays man and horse, it doesn't matter. It is, if we have multiple relationships and things of that nature, see, that's understandable for us. That's our belief system. That's what we do. And so that's okay if you do that. You are within the guise. If you believe in stealing from a man's success so that you may redistribute it to someone who hates the fact that you're successful, see, that's secular righteousness. It's understandable. It's okay. If you believe in murdering a child conceived by God, and I want you to understand this concept regarding abortion. The seed, or forgive me, the egg cell that's in your 6-year-old daughter came from her mother and came from her grandmother. You understand? When God conceived her grandmother, the granddaughter had already been conceived in the grandmother. Do you understand? She had passed on the ability from the granddaughter, from the grandmother to the granddaughter. Meaning that God knew at the time of your grandmother that you were coming. So really, if we had a true UN that really cared about life, they would know that the predestined child has constitutional rights of protection. But modern churches don't teach that. You see, the modern American church has chosen secular righteousness. And under secular righteousness, the inconvenience of the ability to reproduce. See, women should have just been men and not have to worry about reproduction because all men are evil and only want to rape, pillage, and destroy women. So, as soon as he entered into that woman, he wasn't in a love affair, he was raping her. Even the ones who are married, raping her, taking away her freedoms. So she has every choice, every responsibility to protect herself from the evil rapists called men. And in that shield, she has to cleanse her body of the evil of that man who tried to take away, even if the baby has been delivered, as in the Trojan history. Do you all understand in Trojan history, and also in Roman history, if the child did not look healthy or did not look like the father at birth, the father would take the child and throw the child off the cliff. You see, under secular righteousness, we want to bring that back. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you something here. I know a lot of people would say, hey, Ken, you're off on the deep edge there, man. You don't know what you're talking about. And I put this in the chat room twice because I want you all to catch up to where I'm talking about. There was someone who wrote about this particular matter. And his name is Grant Diamond. Now, Grant Diamond wrote this tome a little while ago called The Secular Righteousness of Bernie Sanders. And I want to make certain, as we do these shows, that you understand where I get all my research from. Now, all the glory goes to God in terms of his inspiration in me writing these particular essays. And though there has been a sparse or a spot in which I haven't been writing essays for about a month or so, I've had some blocks, but I'm going to overcome that and I'm going to start writing again. I want you to know where my inspirations come from. Grant Diamond wrote, "You might have heard, but it's an election year this year. As someone who spent his growing years planning to become president one day, this season also excites me. This election year has, of course, been that much more exciting with how particularly unpredictable it's been. Trump, question mark. Seriously, question mark. The non-traditional candidate who has intrigued me the most, though, is Bernie Sanders, the fiery 74-year-old independent senator from Vermont. Before continuing, I should confess, I'm not feeling the burn. And thank God, because you might need penicillin. I'm not feeling the burn, but many of my friends are. Judging by the admittedly small sample size of my Facebook feed, Bernie is insanely popular with my fellow young people. If millennials would just get out and vote as much as the older generations do, he would no doubt be the runaway winner of the Democratic nomination." And he puts in bold, "But this post isn't about Bernie's policies or electability. It's not even about his delightfully disheveled hair. It's about his rhetoric." Now, I want to put this here because we're going to go to a break and I have to begin being more obedient to time as I become more professional in the provision of this wonderful work. And I thank God for Mary every single day for giving me the inspiration to keep doing it. But I want you to know rhetoric is very important. In fact, and you know, I'm one of those little geeks. I like to basically give you as much information as I can and as much time as I can. In terms of the idea of what rhetoric is, come with me, Online Etymology Dictionary. Come with me. Bingo. Thank you. Literally, when you go back to the Greek, in is what the Greek term is. It means to say. You see, first and foremost, the secular righteousness movement is built on what people say, not what they do. What you say must motivate me and move me into an experience where my feelings take precedent and prominence over my mental reasoning. I'm doing this because it feels good. Feel the burn. What you say matters more than what you do. In fact, right now, in terms of our election, we have secular righteousness in war with gospel freedom. You see, and I'll go on with what Grant's writing, and we'll catch up here. But the focus is on rhetoric, what one says, not what one does or produces. He goes on, he says, if you listen to a Bernie speech, you'll inevitably witness a strong appeal to morality and basic decency presented as the reason he should be our next president. In Bernie's world, it's wrong for the wage gap between rich and poor is greater in our country than anywhere else in the world. Now, again, what you say that motivates a feeling is all that matters. Not that it's right. Hillary Clinton can tell you over and over again, he's wrong. He's not right. He's not saying the right thing. And the emphasis, a lot of people are thinking she's judging Donald Trump as being ignorant. No, she's judging him based on the fact that there are those who believe in secular righteousness, that what you say, which doesn't have to be aligned with any evidence or truth, what you say is all that matters. You call it a lie. I call it what I say. You say Honest Abe. I say he's responsible for me doing what I do. Grant Diamond goes on and he says, in Bernie's world, it's wrong that the wage gap between rich and poor is greater in our country than anywhere else in the world. It's wrong that a college education has become prohibitively expensive for young people. It's wrong that healthcare is still inaccessible to millions of Americans. Shoot, in some speeches, he'll hit all that just in the introduction. While every politician relies on a moral appeal to one degree or another, Bernie has made it into an art form. As preacher myself, I can't help but admire the righteous fury with which he moves crowds and fills stadiums. You understand what Grant's saying? You understand? Those people that are coming out to hear Hillary are there for two reasons. One, it feels like something's happening. I feel a part of something bigger than myself. I feel that if she can get away from the oppressive laws of this land, then I have a hope. She's righteous. Let me digress. No, he's most comfortable when the conversation stays at the level of right and wrong. Basic decency. A return to a more just time. And it's those moral appeals that have made Bernie wildly popular with my generation. What I can't stop wondering, though, is how this can be. Let me go down just a little bit, and we will make certain that you understand. Which is why the rise of Bernie is so confounding. What's so fascinating about his appeal to righteousness is that it's secular righteousness. He's the most secular candidate to ever run for president. And the generation flocking to him shares that secularity more than any that came before it. Bernie is making a moral appeal based on principles he holds to be absolutely true to a generation that has by and large rejected the existence of such a thing prima facie. Do you understand that Grant Diamond is saying that secular righteousness is built on what a man says is principle and not what God says is principle? Gospel freedom says that if I fall by the wayside, God will pick me up. So how is it hypocrisy that billions of Christians around the world can see that a man who has become a politician that sinned in his day and asked for forgiveness of that sin can be given forgiveness, when in secular righteousness, only those who appeal to your principles deserve righteousness, and only they can be redeemed by your preachers called the media. In your ruling body, your religious ruling body, your righteous body known as the politician is lifted up. How is it that gospel freedom is not chosen in today's modern church? When we come back, I want to talk about why gospel freedom has been rejected in America's churches and why you need to find someone that will lead you and guide you into all truth, certainly before November 8th.
Yesterday, you went on the air. We're talking about your fake Piranhas and sunglasses. Yes. Scary called me in a panic last night. I went on the air and I called them fake. They're not fake. They're real. We're gonna get sued. Really, they're real? Yeah. He gave. What's the name of the company you ordered them from? I bought it from a company called EZ. That's the letter E, the letter Z. Contacts USA. So he goes on the air yesterday and says, EZ Contacts, they're a scam. Ignore them. No research. Nothing. Yeah, didn't look into. I'm like, you're being a little reckless. Yeah. Even though they, I don't know if those are real product glasses or not. But he went on the air and said that anyway. The opposite of 60 Minutes. Scary jokes. Yeah. We don't know. We didn't investigate. I'm sure they're a scam. Well, I got them for $150 lower than you could normally. But are they a scam? They're not. I looked into it. I researched it in full. I am holding legit, real product sunglasses. Really? I'd like to issue an apology. I just want to say, because we got a call from the company, from the owner. Yeah. They had lost orders yesterday because of what Scary said. They should make you pay what they lost yesterday. How much was that total? I don't even know. But at the end of the day, it's like it's almost one of those too good to be true things. Yeah, it is true. So you did your research? I did my research. I did my homework. At the end of the day, EZ Contacts USA, they actually sell real, legitimate stuff. You have to have great prices. Great prices. Can you imagine last night, I'm getting ready to eat dinner, I get a phone call from Scary. He's like, hey, you got 2 minutes? And I have to say, oh, like, okay. Was it 2 minutes? 45 minutes later, I'm like, all right, Scary, sounds great, man. Hey, thank you. All right, I'll let you go. Until tomorrow. Unbelievable. Everything worked out. All right, thank you, Scary. So Scary...
Could have been last season. You know, sometimes they do that. Absolutely. Whatever.
Scary accused them of the company of being a fraud, and they're not. And that was very reckless of Scary.
Really?
Yes, Froggy. Scary's going to turn this around at some point before it's over. He'll go, I was doing them a favor. See, at first I said it wasn't real. Now it is real. More people are going to buy from them. I did the whole work, boss. They're real. At the end of the day, if you want to take your eyewear, great, Gary, if you give that company one more time, I swear to God, you're fired. Are you going to kick me in the mouth? I'm going to kick you in the mouth. But, you know, and I'm glad the owner did hear you. They do listen. Yeah. And I'm glad they heard you and they corrected you, because that's very reckless to go in there and say someone's a fraud.
But I'm excited to find out that you can get really cheap sunglasses. Yeah, me too.
What's that website again?
I don't want you to keep me
alone. Scary, one more time. It's the letter E. If you do it anymore, we're going to have to send you a bill. All right. Letter E, the letter Z, contacts USA. Okay. .com. All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm encouraging you right now. You know for a fact that, and you see that the exceptional one here wears glasses. It's not because they're sexy and they make me look like a hunk, simply because without these glasses, I'm literally blind. I know some of you will be in need of doing an annual check on your eyes. Well, you don't have to go to the expensive places because actually the actual vision exam is probably less than $100 in most places today. You don't have to spend $300, $400, $500 to get a pair of these glasses. That's why I put on my website Easy Contacts. If it's time for you to get a new pair of glasses, all you need to do is get your prescription. Keep wearing these glasses for a few more days. Order your prescription through Easy Contact. It'll come to you directly. It'll be less expensive than going to one of those places where they make you come back hours later or maybe days later to pick up your prescription. Ladies and gentlemen, get your next eyewear from Easy Contacts. You will be surprised not only on the time efficiency, but the amount of money that you save. Welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from Washington, D.C. I want to thank the great people who are listening to us via Red Nation Rising. God bless you. I know that you'll be going away in just a short bit. Continue listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show whenever you have the opportunity, and share it with your friends and family. Even on the down low, for my down low listeners, because I found out today that someone in Baltimore was listening on the down low, and God bless you. Thank you so much for doing so. Also, I want to thank the great people at SHR Media, Sackheads Radio, my very good friend Sean Lewis, also Sackhead Clint. They do a wonderful job bringing us live to you every single night. And in addition to that, none other than Dan the Man Butcher at HP Pundit Media, High Plains Pundit Media. And thank you so much for having us on last night to talk about the election. Look forward to a healthy return on High Plains Pundit Media. We're talking tonight about why the modern American church has chosen secular righteousness over gospel freedom. Now, Grant Diamond has written a wonderful article, and I hope that you get a chance to read it in its entirety. But he writes, so in light of this campaign of secular righteousness, I like to make a plea for rational consistency for those that are feeling the burn. If it's okay for a candidate to talk about right and wrong when it comes to economic issues, then don't call me a backwards-thinking extremist for believing it's just as okay for candidates to talk about right and wrong when it comes to other ones. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring this to you tonight so that you might understand fully what this election is really about. Yes, I know! The election is about the Supreme Court. Yes, I know the election is about the Second Amendment. Yes, I know the election is about Obamacare as it's spiraling out of control, and somebody wants single payer healthcare system. Yes, I know that this election is about ISIS and immigration. Yes, I know. But that's what you say. I want you to write this down in your annals and know that I've said it to you. This election this year is not just about all those things, but more importantly about this one thing. The Constitution is virtually gone in this country. We saw it when the president, Barack Obama, made certain that his former Secretary of State will never go under the peril of justice in our country under the Constitution. In fact, made it so sterling that his deputy director came forward to say that no one would press charges against her or prosecute her. So we won't. This election truly is, at the end of it all, the last election that we'll be talking about God. I wanted that to set in to you as you're listening tonight. Because secular righteousness has taken over the modern American church. When you have churches that will not fight, in fact, will endorse same-sex marriage, even though the scriptures clearly state that that's against God's will. When you have ministers that will stand in the pulpit and allow Democrats to come and speak, but will throw Republicans out of their church. See, you have to understand something. The entirety of the Democrat platform is anti-God. It is built on secular righteousness. It's built on, I suppose, the James Brown or the old R&B hit, do it, do it, do it till you're satisfied. Whatever it is, do it till you're satisfied. It's built on what you say, it's built on your feelings. The whole concept is to equate this, that your morality is built around what people say, not what people do. Your morality is built around what someone says is right or wrong, based on what they believe their principles are, but certainly not upon the Holy One of Israel, God himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of that trash talk from the tapes that was done by the media, the preachers of secular righteousness. And notice, it should have been a groundswell of preachers coming out and saying, even if you didn't vote for him, he has been forgiven of those past sins. Why are we talking about those? No, it's bigger than that. The preachers, whether they are on Fox or MSNBC, have but one purpose. That they are the problem. Well, they are the problem, but they are the principal preachers. They will tell you what's right and wrong and how you should react to it. And it should always be built on emotion and not reason. I want to explain to you in just a few seconds that I have left in this first hour of our program what the gospel is and why it makes you free. See, the gospel is called the good news, and this is according to Ligonier Ministries. The gospel is called the good news because it addresses the most serious problem that you and I have as human beings, and that problem is simply this: God is holy, and he is just, and I am not. There is no justice in stealing a man's wealth and giving it to someone else because you think that he's been cruel to them. That's not your responsibility. That's not your role as a government. Your government is to protect the poor man with a wonderful idea so that he might become wealthy, and to protect the wealthy man so that he not be stolen from. You see, God is holy, and he is just, and I am not. According to Ligonier Ministries, and at the end of my life, I am going to stand before a just and holy God, and I'll be judged. And I'll be judged either on the basis of my own righteousness or lack of it, or the righteousness of another. The good news of the gospel is that Jesus lived a life of perfect righteousness, of perfect obedience to God, not for his own well-being, but for his people. He has done for me what I couldn't possibly do for myself. But not only has he lived that life of perfect obedience, he offered himself as a perfect sacrifice to satisfy the justice and the righteousness of God. There has been no other in all of mankind's history that did that. That's why it's easier to preach secular righteousness than gospel freedom. Because you can't control the minds of people when they're free to believe in a living God. But you can control the hearts of people when they believe that they've been done wrong, and you endorse secular righteousness. Someday, you will be judged. I hope that that judge is not Bernie Sanders. We'll be back with the second half of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we're adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks. So what do you... Make sure she says yes with this beautiful engagement ring. Expertly crafted in 14-karat white gold with an alluring design. Featuring breathtaking diamonds. Get a unique piece designed just for you with our huge selection of stunning gems and precious metals. Order now and receive free and assured shipping. Find your perfect jewel today at Alluras.com. Make sure she says yes with this beautiful engagement ring. Expertly crafted in 14-karat white gold with an alluring design. Featuring breathtaking diamonds. Get a unique piece designed just for you with our huge selection of stunning gems and precious metals. Order now and receive free and assured shipping. Find your perfect jewel today at Alluras.com.
Aloha, I'm here at the Hawaii Coffee Company at the Lion Cafe. Let's go get some brew and get educated. All right, we're here at the Hawaii Coffee Company Museum, and I got Sam here. Tell us about Lion Coffee and how did it get into Hawaii?
Well, the Lion Coffee founder, Jim Delano, before Lion Coffee in Hawaii existed, bought the old Hawaiian Electric building downtown. And his idea was to build a cafe kind of like on a bohemian model to invite artists and musicians and have this really cool place to hang out and drink coffee. But once he refurbished the building, he didn't have any coffee, and he had to find out where he was going to get the coffee from. He discovered this trademark, Lion Coffee, established in 1864.
Wow.
And we're standing right in front of a case of all this old paraphernalia. This is how he discovered the brand, and he was intrigued by it. He did some research and tried to contact the company to see if he could buy some coffee, but Lion Coffee was no longer roasting. And so he found the descendants from the owner of Lion Coffee and managed to buy the trademark. And so basically, Lion awoke in Hawaii, and we started roasting here.
Wow, that sounds like you guys had the concept and the idea before Starbucks.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing is we didn't go international, but we do sell internationally. And our focus on our business in Hawaii is the most popular coffee in Hawaii.
Of course. Mahalo, Sam. Go to HawaiiCoffeeCompany.com and get more cool information about Lion Coffee Roasters and Hawaii Coffee Company while we're filming this video. They have a great free tour of the roasting facility, and you can check out all their highly sought-after coffees. even better, you can come directly to the exceptionalconservatorshow.com and you can order your coffee at a very, very discounted price. So congratulations to you. For all you Starbucks lovers out there, it's time to switch over to someone that's not going to persecute you because of your belief in the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the second hour of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialist. So glad to have Mary Brockman holding down the ever-expanding chat roll. So glad to have you all, new people in the chat roll, too. Look at all these great people. Everyone's in there. William J. is in there. Danny, welcome. Glad to have you here. Brandy, we love you. You are so beautiful. We're glad that you're here. Dave Milner was here. He's out. He's back. All right. BZ is in there, of course. Mary Brockman, we love you. Also, tomorrow night, none other than Dr. Bill Warner will be here. Dr. Warner is known for his work on exposing political Islam and its threat, not just to the United States, to the world, ladies and gentlemen. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest honors I have every Monday night is to talk to the man himself, the great one himself. He is none other than Sir Mark. Sir Mark, it is a great pleasure and honor to have you on our program this evening. Good evening, sir. What a great honor and privilege to have you on our program.
Well, it's a great honor and privilege here, except that you sort of caught me. I was trying to think of a good response for the telephone, and then the other phone rang, and then I completely blew it. So I apologize for not answering in a different fashion. I'm sorry. It was very uncreative of me this time, and for that, my grandest apologies.
Well, listen, I know you've been hanging out with Abe Lincoln, and so I wanted to get your thoughts after spending the day with Abe Lincoln. How do you feel about Hillary Rodham Clinton blaming him for the 39,000 emails being slashed from her server?
Well, actually, when last we spoke, yes, I am that old, he said he's a very big man, and he can take a lot of things, and he's taken glass abuse, and he really doesn't mind it all that much, because he summed it up to me in pretty words in these quotes, and he said, "Consider the source." I have to agree with that.
Oh, what a great honor. First and foremost, for those who are following along at home, this is probably one of America's great writers, and often overlooked, and it shouldn't be. And he makes an appearance every Wednesday.
That $20 I sent you has gone a long way.
It's got, but a renewal of the subscription's coming soon.
Yes. Yes, that is true. That is true.
Bloviating Zeppelin is where you should be reading the good word. And for those who don't have his access or have access to it, we're going to put that in the chat roll tonight so that you can click on and make it part of your daily read, bloviatingzeppelin.net, and to listen to Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin, on Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time with none other than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clay. And in fact, Mark, I just want to say the program has gone up in caliber since you've been there. Now, I want you to know the bar is very low, but I just wanted you to know that.
This is one of those times when I really, really wish that Sackhead Clint or Sackhead Sean was in the chat room so they could hear you listen to what you said. Of course, are they that? No, they're not.
No, they're not. No, see, this is why it works so well. And believe me, they are the best of late night conservative talk. and you've just made them better. So congratulations to you, sir, and great job. Great job indeed. Now?
Thank you very much. I always have to take props where I can find them.
Exactly, because I hear now that they have 3 listeners. Saxon.
Yes. How did you know? I told my one friend that I have, he's not actually a friend, he's sort of an acquaintance. I told him, please listen. And he said, well, all right, probably before the end of 2016 I'll listen. So that means he must have tuned in for maybe 20, 30 seconds and then tuned right out.
But you captured him those 30 seconds. Great job, man. Great job.
That's right. So, hey, we're up to 3. Always looking for more.
No, actually, they are one of the most listened to late night talk shows in the country. So make sure that you make your way on over to Sackheads Radio and find out more about Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. You can find them on SHR Media, especially at SPREAKER. Now, apparently, the United Kingdom has decided that only Muslims have the right to free speech. When did this happen?
Yeah, is that just a bit bizarre or what? It's nothing like we really didn't see this coming, for example, because the BBC has already cracked down what they call anti-Beeb. In England, the BBC is called anti-Beeb. And anti-Beeb has already cracked down on journalists who work for BBC, which means that pretty much everybody on TV who works for the BBC, because everybody on TV works for the BBC. Anyway, you can no longer be a climate denier. So if you're a climate denier, you no longer have it. Well, you don't have a job at BBC. So it's good to know that BBC is so incredibly certain with regard to that. Apparently, that certainty is now moved over to the Brussels portion of the EU, because Brussels has now said that it is ordering the UK press not to reveal when terrorists, basically in EU territory, happen to be Muslims. Interesting.
I'm sorry, but are there any other types of terrorists? I'm sorry. I'm dumbfounded.
Well, let's not forget. Let's not be silly here. Please contain yourself. It's my understanding that a Buddhist monk tripped and knocked into a French person coming up off the subway on the Red Line in London, so he knocked that particular person up against a wall. So clearly that was a Buddhist assault. Now he did turn around and apologize.
Yeah.
But still, that goes into the category of an assault, and clearly that's going to go against the Buddhists. Quite frankly.
I understand. So we have to be really, really tolerant of Buddhist terrorists, because, I mean, they're worse than those Muslim terrorists. Simply worse.
There are the Buddhist terrorists, I would say, there's at least one of them somewhere in the Milky Way. So I think that quite narrows things down quite a bit. So whatever that particular terrorist might be on alert.
We are watching for you.
Orange right now. Now whether he's in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, no one quite seems to know yet.
Somewhere on a comet, there's a Buddhist terrorist. But, I mean, we've had Paris, we've had New York, London, and all these major sites. And there's a commonality. There's a thread that goes through them, sir. And what exactly is that thread that ties all these around?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. I haven't yet come up with an adequate answer. I have to research it. My first thought is something that probably I shouldn't say begins with I or M, depending upon your application of the word. But, well, it's a good thing I'm not in the UK. I'll just say Muslim, right? Otherwise, if I were in the EU or the UK, I would not be in keeping with the great plan of Brussels at this point.
You know what? Actually, Jeopardy...
It's a very sad situation.
It is. Jeopardy could actually do a whole column called Muslim Terrorists, Muslim Terrorists for 100, Muslim Terrorists for 200. I don't think they can do that with too many other political religions or whatever of that nature. So, is there any fight left in Britain? Or have they just surrendered to the Muslim terrorists?
Well, it's a fight. I would expect that that the unpleasant blind guy, Dave, would have probably a vast wealth of knowledge about this. One thing that I did read, not too terribly far from now, or one thing that I did read, I don't know, like might have been even last year, as a matter of fact, was that there was a kitchen, a restaurant in downtown London, and in that restaurant it was on the ground floor, and above that particular floor were various flats that could be rented out to individuals to live in these particular apartments. And the restaurant downstairs cooked a lot of standard British fare, and some of that fare included ham, pork, and the like. And a complaint was made by the Muslim family that lived in the vicinity above the restaurant that they had to withstand the smell of cooking pork, and the restaurant owner was told that he could no longer serve that there in his restaurant. To me, that's a bit of an indicator.
Slight indicator! Oh my God! Oh my God! So whatever you do, don't take your ham sandwich to London. You will be arrested. Free speech crackdown. You all have got to read this. It's an amazing piece by my very good friend here, Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin, and you can easily go to bloviatingzeppelin.net. Just great work. Great work. I don't know. I was up late last night since I'm not watching football too much anymore. And they had these...
That's odd, neither am I.
Yeah. About 20% of America isn't anymore either. Thank you, Colin. But apparently they released two people on a stage. And apparently they went to blows with one another, and it seemed like it was a heavyweight battle. And it was brutal. It was really, really brutal. And one of them did a haymaker. And when they did that haymaker, it rocked the house. Do you know what that show that was on? Can you tell me what that show was?
Well, it seemed to me, unless I'm mistaken, and I could be wrong, is that that may have been the second presidential debate that occurred last night. And overall, it's kind of interesting. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from that, because I actually did watch it in real time, of all strange things, I happened to watch it on Twitter live, and I didn't expect to be doing that, but I was doing some of the posts at the time. And it was held at a university. Now, we have a pretty good idea the nature of universities and what kind of individuals attend universities. And I found it the biggest telling event to me was the audience was warned or told at the very beginning not to applaud and not to make any noise during the debate itself. And during some of the comments that Hillary Clinton made and some of the comments that Donald Trump made, there were rounds of laughter throughout the audience, primarily when Donald Trump happened to make a joke at the expense of Hillary. And I found that unique and quite telling. If you were to listen or watch a lot of the mainstream media right now, you would seem to think that Hillary Clinton walked away with this hands down. if you were to consider CNN and the various other mainstream media locales, they would tell you that Hillary Clinton simply walked away with it. Period. End of statement. That's it. All there is to it. The biggest tell for me was the fact that the audience wasn't buying Hillary, and they were laughing when Donald Trump was making her the butt of various jokes. Mm-hmm. So when everything was said and done, particularly in polls, I'm not a great believer in polls, especially considering what occurred with regards to polling and what actually what happened with Brexit. I can't say that I put much stock in polls at all anymore. But I found that said more to me than anything else at the end of that particular debate.
Now, we're going to talk about the debate. I have to go to a hard break. When we come back from the break, I want to play the clip for you that was the most decisive knockout since George Foreman knocked George Frazier through the ropes. Ladies and gentlemen, I do mean through the ropes. It was a great knockout blow. And it was virtually over because Mrs. Biggs said at this particular point of the debate, it's over. It's over. Donald Trump's won it. And so when Mrs. Biggs says it, it is true. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds to talk with you about last night's debate and why all of the pussies in the GOP are running away from Donald Trump. We'll be right back.
For the professional mechanic, the home hobbyist, or the most exacting pro shop, the Auto Parts Warehouse has the inventory, quality, and price you need to bring your projects and repairs in on time and with the most savings. From engine assemblies to flywheels, air filters, and body parts, the Auto Parts Warehouse has what you need.
Now, Brownells, we only have only one shop to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. Look at how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who saved $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to LendingTree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
LendingTree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
We're going to look into it because you know what? People have been, their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you have done. And it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up on that. I'm going to let you talk about it now. Because everything he just said is absolutely false. But I'm not surprised. In the first debate, the audience needs to calm down here. That it would be impossible to be fact-checking Donald all the time. I'd never get to talk about anything I want to do and how we're going to really make lives better for people. So once again, go to HillaryClinton.com. We have literally Trump. You can fact check him in real time. Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
We want to remind the audience to please not talk out loud. Please do not applaud. You're just wasting time.
And Secretary Clinton, I do want to follow up on the emails. You've said your handling of your emails was a mistake. You disagreed with FBI Director James Comey, calling your handling of classified information, quote, extremely careless. The FBI said that there were 110 classified emails that were exchanged, 8 of which were top secret, and that it was possible hostile actors did gain access to those emails. You don't call that extremely careless?
Hey, well, Martha, first let me say, and I've said it before, but I'll repeat it because I want everyone to hear it. That was a mistake, and I take responsibility for using a personal email account. Obviously, if I were to do it over again, I would not. I'm not making any excuses. It was a mistake, and I am very sorry about that. But I think it's also important to point out where there are some misleading accusations from critics and others. After a year-long investigation, there is no evidence that anyone hacked the server I was using, and there is no evidence that anyone can point to at all. Anyone who says otherwise has no basis, that any classified material ended up in the wrong hands. I take classified material very seriously, and always have. When I was on the Senate Armed Services Committee, I was privy to a lot of classified material. Obviously, as Secretary of State, I had some of the most important secrets that we possess, such as going after bin Laden. So I am very committed to taking classified information seriously, and as I said, there is no evidence that any classified information ended up in the wrong hands.
So we're going to move on. Yet, she didn't know the letter C on a document. Right? She didn't even know what that letter meant. You know, it's amazing. I'm watching Hillary go over facts, and she's going after fact after fact, and she's lying again because she said what she did with the emails was fine. Do you think it was fine to delete 33,000 emails? I don't think so. She said the 33,000 emails had to do with her daughter's wedding, number one, and a yoga class. Well, maybe we'll give 3 or 4 or 5 or something. 33,000 emails deleted. And now she's saying there wasn't anything wrong. And more importantly, that was after getting a subpoena. That wasn't before. That was after. She got it from the United States Congress. And I'll be honest, I am so disappointed in congressmen, including Republicans, for allowing this to happen. Our Justice Department, where her husband goes onto the back of an airplane for 39 minutes, talks to the Attorney General days before a ruling is going to be made on her case. But for you to say that there was nothing wrong with you deleting 39,000 emails, again, you should be ashamed of yourself. What you did, and this is after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress.
We have to move on. Secretary Clinton, you can respond, but we got to move on.
We want to give the audience a chance here.
In jail, let alone after getting a subpoena from the United States
Secretary
Congress.
Clinton, you can respond, but we have to move on to an audience question.
Look, it's just not true, and so please go to
allow her to respond, please.
Personal emails, not official.
33,000?
Well, we turned over 35,000, so.
Oh, yeah. What about the other 50,000?
Please allow her to respond. She didn't talk while you talked.
Yes, that's true. I didn't. I did it in the first debate, and I'm going to try not to in this debate because I'd like to get to the questions that the people have brought here tonight to talk to us about.
Get off this question.
Okay, Donald, I know you're into big diversion tonight, anything to avoid talking about your campaign and the way it's exploding and the way Republicans are leaving you. But let's at least focus on some of the issues that people care about tonight. Let's get to their questions.
We have a question here from Ken.
Ladies and gentlemen, this woman had been practicing lying so long she made it a part of her existence. And we want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Nation's Capital. We're talking with Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. Sir, the knockout punch last night was Hillary, you'd be in jail. And that's after all of that lying. I want to get to your thoughts regarding last night's debate. First and foremost, who won? Who lost? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
I admit to bias up front. I am going to vote for Donald Trump. He was not my number one, my number two, my number three, my number 4, my number 17, my number 35. Now polling number 939, 939, your tennis shoes are done. He wasn't my 940th, but still, there he is. And because of that, I still like that line. He reflected back to his comments in the debate to have a special prosecutor investigate Hillary Clinton for the use of a private email server, and that she'd be in jail. That was sort of, I liked the dismissive character in which he delivered that line and then turned his back on her. I kind of appreciated that. Mm-hmm. The mainstream media said he lost clearly and that she won and kicked his arse all over the place. I've already made my comments with regard to the audience. I was quite frankly shocked that the audience seemed to fall in behind Trump for a good part of that, which says a whole lot to me. The mainstream media didn't make anything of it whatsoever. The moderators were in fact arguing various points against Trump, being Hillary Clinton when Hillary Clinton didn't have anything to say in rebuttal. They decided it would be their job to rebut on her behalf. So absolutely, clearly, the moderators had no bias whatsoever, but it's nothing more than a continuing series of accusations that have occurred for years and years and years, for quite some time. The new WikiLeaks, for example, provided information that indicated that New York Times, they were caught providing Bill Clinton questions before a New York Times interview with a man named Nicholas Kristof, and that came out of John Podesta's emails when she went to, I think it was, what is that guy's name? Harvey, the black gentleman that has a talk show. She was submitted a list of questions to him, and he proceeded to underhand her a series of softballs. She couldn't even walk onto his program and take things in an extemporaneous fashion. With the media behind her, with everything in the tank for her, she's still semi-neck and neck, that is to say, if you believe the polls. It's just, it's a race like I have never, ever, ever encountered before. And the last revelation from 11 years ago is, according to what Mr. Trump said when he was not a political candidate, I would ask everybody in chat or listening in the podcast, tell me 11 years ago that there wasn't something that you would be embarrassed if it were to be revealed that you were speaking to someone and your comments were recorded. On my blog, I have any number of revelations with attributions from various books, etc., about the way that Hillary treats her staff and her underlings, so to speak. Yep. Hillary Clinton said that she admires Margaret Sanger enormously. I can think of no other word for Hillary Clinton except racist, but you can't say that, even though it is the truth. Well, actually, Margaret Sanger, you wrote that colored people are like weeds, and they need to be exterminated.
Yeah, but you also wrote on Bloviatingzeppelin.net that she made a provocative. I mean, because everyone's talking about what Donald Trump said. She actually wrote something about a race of people that she says that she adores and uses as an example of Donald Trump berating the Khan family and so on. What did she say and what did she type that indicates that she really is a racist?
In one of the newest batches of WikiLeaks. I don't know how sensitive you are to this term. I'll say it if you wish. I won't say it if you won't.
No, truth. Let the truth be known. Let the truth be known. Say what she actually wrote.
There's an email from Hillary Clinton to Robert Russo, and in it she's referring to Muslims, and she refers to them as sand niggers. Then also there's another particular portion of a later email where it says the main reason behind successful immigration would be painfully obvious to even the most dim-witted of observers. Some groups of people are almost always highly successful given only half a chance. Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, and Chinese people, for example, while others, Muslims, blacks, and Roma, for instance, fare badly, almost irrespective of circumstances. For those interested, or for those that don't know, Roma generally is a word that you use for gypsies. That's a word for gypsies in Europe, for example.
Wow!
The funny thing is, you didn't see any of this played out, and I'm not, I get called nasty words every now and then, and I've been taking nasty words against me for 50 years. It was part of my job at one time.
Yeah.
But to bring this out from Donald Trump, and Donald Trump admitted to it, and he's certainly far from perfect. See my previous comment with regarding the number 940. But despite that, the media has done its level best to bury all of this information, which I'm not making up. I'm getting this from the mainstream media, so to speak, but you won't find this in the papers. You have to dig for it a little bit. Oddly enough, you have to go to UK media to find some of these things and some of these writings.
Exactly.
And so it's out there if you want to see it, if you're interested in that. But of course, we know that the mainstream media is not interested in that at all. That's a heaping helping of massive racism.
Yes.
Stereotyping.
Yes. And I want to read from everybody because a lot of people would think Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin, who looks like Santa Claus, he couldn't possibly be telling the truth. And he has the documents on bloviatingzeppelin.net for your disposal, for your review. And it's here. She says the main reason behind successful immigration should be painfully obvious to even the most dim-witted of observers. Some groups of people are almost always, is what she says, highly successful given only half of a chance. Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, and Chinese people, for example, while others, Muslims, blacks, and Roma, for instance, fare badly almost irrespective of circumstances. The biggest group of humanity can be found somewhere between these two extremes, the perennial overachievers and the professional never-do-wells. Never-do-wells! This is Hillary Rodham Clinton talking about black people! Oh, but Jesse Jackson would be running all over the place telling you to vote for. If Donald Trump even said an infamous, what would be the response?
Well, that would be the final knife through the torso, so to speak. I find the faux outrage from leftists and also from a number of persons within the GOP. But for the grace of God goes I. Have I said stupid things and verbal shite over the years? Certainly I have. The rejoinder to that would be, yes, but you're not running for politics. And my rejoinder to that in kind would be, well, neither was he 11 years ago, but it's still fertile ground to bring up. If it's so fertile a ground, why isn't that brought up of all these newest revelations? This information that I wrote about was available at the debates. Donald Trump, for whatever reason, and there are a lot of things he does I still cannot for the life of me figure out, but it was there and available for the debates, yet it wasn't used. Obviously, there are many people who, in retrospect, will go back and say that Donald Trump should have done this, that, and the other thing. Ted Cruz, your favorite pick, whoever it is. But the information, it wasn't hidden. It was there for anybody that's doing their job to find.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the point. Doing your job because the job is not being done.
Wow. And listen.
Well, see, you don't get things together because that's all with regard to the internet as well. Once you begin to circumvent the internet and put a clamp on free speech in the internet, because the EU, clearly, in the UK, Brussels clearly doesn't give a shite about free speech anywhere, much less the internet. Now that we've turned ICANN over to the internet, give it some time. But the writing is on the wall with regard to free speech and what is considered, say, hate speech, for example. The thing that I find chilling, for example, with regard to the free speech crackdown from Brussels by way of the EU to the British press, is there is a European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance, the ECRI, and that chair, a guy named Christian Ireland, said it's no coincidence that racist violence is on the rise in the UK at the same time as we see worrying examples of intolerance and hate speech in the newspapers, online, and even amongst politicians. So further, what he says in an 83-page report, he says that Muslims are increasingly under the spotlight as a result of recent ISIS-related terrorist acts around the world, and that because of that, perpetrators of terrorist acts and the various press articles and agencies that devote significant coverage to it, the violent backlash against Muslims is likely to be greater than in cases where the perpetrator's motivation is downplayed or rejected in favor of alternate explanations. So that's what the EU wants. That's what Brussels wants. They tell you right there. They want the perpetrator's motivation, though it is in black and white, perpetrator's motivation to be downplayed or rejected in favor of alternative explanations. And so, such as, I don't know, what's an alternate explanation? Sunspots, bad gas, global warming, pocket tickets, you just make this shit up as you go along. The government is saying, advocating, that as a government, that they're just going to outright lie to you because they cower in front of Islam. They have no spine, they have no courage, they have no truth. So that commission, the ECRI, says it strongly recommends the authorities find a way to establish an independent press regulator. A press regulator who will independently determine just what it is that you in the UK and soon to be coming to the United States, soon to a neighborhood near you, will see and know. And so I ask, what are the consequences going to be? Should various articles, not including mine, not conform to Brussels or the ECRI ideals? Are they going to send the authors back for regrouping like a bad truck tire?
Yeah.
Indoctrination classes, camps, will there be civil penalties, actual criminal penalties? Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see this in action, not in the United States, but directly next to us in Canada, Google the name Mark Steyn and Islam and Canada and trial and see what you come up with. Mark Steyn, the host and the author, was taken to a criminal court because he actually said things about Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, it's there already, right there in Canada.
Wow. So the future of free speech in America is literally on the line here. with the presidency of Hillary Rodham Clinton. She is a woman with a great hatred, and Donald Trump was absolutely right. There's a great deal of hatred in her heart. And you can see it in what she's already written, and that she has a public opinion and a private opinion. And someone that publicly tells you that, tells you everything you need to know about them. She is willing to lie in your face to get what she wants. That is no different from political Islam. They are willing to lie in your face to get what they want. And once you have once you have succumbed to the lie, they are ready to spill your blood, however means necessary. Hillary Rodham Clinton did it with our servicemen and women. Islam is doing it with you and your family as you listen tonight, wherever you are in America. They're willing to send individuals with blades into your community to cause hurt, harm, and danger. Listen, Mark, before we go to break, because I got to let you go, but I want you to tell everybody how they can listen to you and how they can read your great work, because you, sir, do justice to journalism. Unlike a whole lot of other people out there that get paid a whole lot of money to look pretty and answer for Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Well, gosh, with that kind of an intro, how do I respond? Number one, and I'm sure a lot of people here do this all the time, have you ever gone to various blogs and sites and it's difficult to even find the information on that website amongst all the advertising that looks like it tries to meld in with the content as much as possible? There's no advertising whatsoever on my site. I'm as plain as the day is long. It's at bloviatingzeppelin.net. If you're on Twitter, I am at bzepp. I can be heard on your station, thank God, courtesy of you, on Monday nights, and then Wednesdays with the Sackheads radio show, and then, God willing, when the creek don't rise, perhaps in a couple of weeks on SHR Media.
Awesome.
Thank you so kindly, Sackhead.
Thank you, Sir Mark, for coming on the air with us. We look forward to your return next Monday night, and God bless the work that you do and you and your family, man. Take care now.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark the Bloviating Zeppelin. If you're not reading the Bloviating Zeppelin, then you're just reading a lot of crap. Can I phrase it any other better way? Ladies and gentlemen, and with those people who are in the chat roll, make a promise to me. Because I put in there the story regarding the Sand Niggas quote of Hillary Rodham Clinton, and also the quote that she's made about blacks and Muslims as being never well-doers, per se. And I need for you all to get that message out. Just get it out there. She has a lot to answer for, and so do liberals and ministers that have bought into secular righteousness because they don't want to preach the gospel any longer because of the truth. The truth of the matter is they've accepted a political religion called the Democrat Party. And it will lead to death, theft, and destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a chance to save our nation. We'll be back right after this particular break with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. And what a great call from a very good friend earlier, Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. What a great man this man is. We'll be right back.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian, because it's our story too.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on SPREAKER, SHR Media, Under Press, Live, Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com. It's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SHRmedia.com.
Even when I'm busy in the kitchen, it's important to me that the special people in my life know how much I care. I choose edible blooms because it's the perfect choice. Traditional flowers and chocolate all wrapped up in one. Edible blooms are made fresh daily using the very best seasonal produce and Belgian chocolate, all crafted by hand and delivered Australia-wide. Edible Blooms has the perfect gift for any occasion. edibleblooms.com.au.
I've seen a lot of places, I've been around the world. I've seen some pretty faces, been with some beautiful girls. After all I witnessed, one thing still amazes me. Just like a miracle, you have to see to believe. God bless Texas with his own hand, brought down angels from the promised land. Gave them a place where they could dance. If you wanna see heaven, brother, here's your chance. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. First he lit the sunshine, then he made the waters deep. Then he gave us moonlight for all the world to see. Well, everybody knows that the Lord works in mysterious ways. He took a rest, then on the very next day, God bless Texas with his own hand, brought down angels from the promised land. Gave them a place where they could dance. If you wanna see heaven, brother, here's your chance. Well, I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for tuning in tonight as we go into the commercial-free period. There's not much of a period left. Mary says I should go to 3 hours. I don't know if I could do that. But I tell you, time flew on tonight's show, and I'm encouraging everyone, go to bloviatingzeppelin.net, read the story. There's a lot that Hillary Rodham Clinton has to answer for, and not doing so. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the very good people at Anacostia Playhouse and the Theater Alliance. My God, what they've done is simply amazing. I want to thank Colin Hold, producing artistic director. I want to thank Eric Schwartz, the associate artistic director, who's been on our program, and we've talked about Brownsville's song, B-side for Trey. And what an amazing play. I want to thank everyone that came out yesterday. And at the Anacostia Playhouse, it was sold out. It was a sold out performance. There were people who were still trying to get in, and I'm very sorry that you didn't get a ticket. The event was sold out. They were moving people around to try to fit people in, and they stayed behind. I want to thank them so much. They put on one of the most beautiful plays about a family that experienced the death of a loved one, and the murder went unsolved for a while. And to see the impact, thank you, Mary, 4 hours, wow. To see the impact on the families, his sister, and the sister was played so well, so beautifully well. I mean, gosh, Divine was played by Keita Grayson. Trey was the star. Sadiq Hurd, Lena, Lolita Marie, Meryl, Regina Aquina, and Junior Avery Collins. They did a wonderful, wonderful job in the play. And I must thank everyone from Kimberly, the playwright, Paige Hernandez, the director, Deb Savini, the scenic and costume designer, William K. DeGino, forgive me, for lighting and sound design, the original music composer, Nick the Wanda, properties and set dressing by Patty Khalil, and stage manager Kelsey Jenkins. They did a tremendous, and I do mean tremendous job with the play. I recommend highly that you get in contact with them about the play, Brownsville Song, B-Side for Trey. Have it brought to your city. They did a wonderful job, that cast and production team. And afterwards, there was conversation about the impact of unresolved homicides in the District of Columbia. And I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to speak from my point of view regarding the unresolved homicide of my daughter, Shanice Milton, and so many hundreds of others. In fact, there are over 3,000 in District of Columbia. There are only 6 cold case detectives in over 3,000 cases. So that's just telling you something right there. But to be able to speak to an audience that was grappling with what they saw on stage, and then grappling with the fact that our politicians and our community and our preachers and our rabbis and our imams have turned a blind eye, hoping that the government would be the answer when God's telling you that you need to be the answer. And that a community that has gone silent and allowing 98% of the unresolved homicides just this year, 54 unresolved homicides, 54 out of 105 killings. 51% of those killings go unsolved. And then we have a chairman of the judiciary who refuses to hold hearings, refuses to pass the Militia Rudd law, and on top of that, in a setting before ministers, refers to the Constitution as a pesky thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, secular righteousness is destroying our nation. We need to return to the freedom of the gospel. A friend of mine told me, Ken, always be brave. Don't die a coward. I promise you I always will. When I tell you that I'm not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist, I can also tell you this. God bless America. It's time now for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night with a huge guest, Dr. Bill Warner, Political Islam. Be ready. Take notes. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Texas. with his own hand brought down angels from the promised land. He gave them a place where they could dance. If you wanna see heaven, brother, here's your chance. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas.